closing arguments. Some things you can do in closing arguments, very effective. First, timelines. Timelines are really compelling in closing arguments. It takes the evidence and creates this visual on what happened when. This is a timeline I actually used in a sentencing hearing. You know, it's one thing to tell the judge, look, this guy had this on this date, he had this on this date, he had this on this date, and this one I remember took place, so give him a lot of time. Well, this was kind of a lengthy sentencing hearing, and this flag or box, if you will, that's up there right now is the yellow text. That's my case. That's the one that this guy, Reuben Brand, is being sentenced for. So to put his criminal history into perspective, we presented all this evidence, of course, through witnesses. And when it came time to make my argument over why this guy deserves a lot of time, very simple. And here's the visual. PCS stands for possession of a controlled substance. UUW stands for unlawful use of weapon. The others are PCS again. The others are self-explanatory. This murder here, before anyone starts asking why was he out in 07, if there's a murder in 03, that was an uncharged murder. The rules of evidence at a sentencing hearing are a little bit different than the rules of evidence at trial. So I was allowed to use evidence of a murder that he committed, but we never charged because the only evidence against him were his two co-offenders who both confessed, neither of whom would testify against him. So his two co-offenders went to prison for that murder, and I used their confessions at the sentencing hearing for this case. The other interesting thing about this, and again, those of you who went in the 1L program might have heard this already, you may have noticed, wait a minute, what do you mean an arson after his murder? How'd that happen? Well, April 1st of 07, he kills one guy and shoots another, and he hightails it out of Chicago. He flees to Coralville, Iowa to get away from the heat, get away from the police, kind of hide out for a while until things cool off. He establishes a relationship with a woman out in Coralville, Iowa, and as a guy like this is prone to be, he gets a little violent with her, gets into an argument one night, and his response to the argument is to go to the cabinet in the apartment she's living in, go grab a can of lighter fluid, douse her living room furniture, and start a fire. Not only did he start a fire, there was a 10-year-old boy sleeping in the back bedroom, and he thought he killed this boy. I've got him not on tape, but talking to his friend saying he thought he killed this 10-year-old. He's got to get out of Coralville, Iowa. He's got to leave. And not realizing, of course, that there are 48 other states, he comes back to Chicago, where he's arrested for the murder and prosecuted. So that arson was eventually dismissed. He's doing 90 years now here in the Illinois Department of Corrections for the murder. So I figured, that's not worth bringing him back. Again, this is another way of looking at PowerPoint. Instead of looking at it as this nice vertical line, I created this on a challenge from some guy who's got a whole lot more technology skills than I have. He couldn't figure out how to create a horizontal scrolling timeline in PowerPoint. And all this is 3 slides with an animation effect, movement, just things moving from right to left. But it actually looks like you're scrolling, you're passing through time. Now, the significance of this timeline was, this is a police investigation, and this has to do with a jail guard who helped some inmates escape from Cook County Jail because it was an election year. And the jail guard didn't like the current sheriff of Cook County, wanted someone else to win the election. So he figured, if I help some really bad people escape, it'll make the current sheriff look bad, and my guy will win. Well, he also confessed to his role in that, but by the time he got to trial, he said, you know what, they made me say all those things, I had nothing to do with it. All these people got together and framed me. The sheriff's investigators, the state's attorneys, they all got together and framed me. They put this case on me. So this timeline was meant to show that there's the police investigation, but lo and behold, a year and a half later, an independent witness came forward and said basically the same thing that the investigation showed. So this was a graphic to show that. Passage of a year and a half, a horizontal scrolling timeline in PowerPoint.